Hello and welcome to today's LOL Esports Roundup. We're going to cover the games that happened this morning in the LCK, LPL, and then preview tomorrow's games in the LPL, LCK, and LCS. Tonight's LCS games will be on tomorrow's Roundup, as has been the case with the LCS games so far. The split pushed off to the next day because of how late the games go. Disclaimer, because this doesn't happen very often, this is a re-recording because the audio, for some reason, the microphone was not the default mic on OBS. It had changed because my computer updated. So, if this video is a little different than you're used to, it's because I am re-recording it and I hate having to do this. So, it's not as authentic in my opinion. So, predictions 119 and 54. I went 3-1 on the day so far. LCK, KT, and DRX. Power rankings came out yesterday. KT 4th, 5-3. DRX 1-7. KT win 2-0. Cuz was MVP on a Wukong and an Elise. Going 13-1-9, 25% of damage. Keen 5-0-9 going deathless in top lane. Rascal 3-6-2 across from him. Led the way in damage for DRX 25%. So Cuz was MVP because his Wukong got around the rift, made things happen. The Elise did the same. Some key kills in the jungle. And, yeah, I mean, that's all I want out of my jungler. I want my jungler to make things happen. I don't care how you do it. Figure it out. That's your job if you're on a facilitator. And that's what he was on with Elise and Wukong. Game 1, he had a Quadra that tried to chase down Rascal for the Penta. Rascal got away as the Nexus exploded for KT. I felt like BDD also played very well in this series. He solo killed Fate twice in Game 2 on an Aurelia, and Fate had a Rise, once in lane and then once in the side lane as KT started taking the base of DRX. I think he even like dove, you know, the inhib turret or whatever to kill Fate. And simultaneously when they did that, KT were able to take Baron. Now, some interesting things that occurred in this series, though. Bot lane, we had two interesting Draven lanes. So DRX went with Draven Annie in Game 1. Yes, Beryl picked Annie. We haven't seen Annie in the LCK in, I think, 2,700 days. Could be wrong on that number. I think that's what they showed. And the only time I've seen Annie lately, and by lately I mean the last few years, I think Cryan picked it a couple times last year in the LPL. And Jensen picked it once in playoffs in 2021. So, outside of those times, we didn't see Annie, but you have to keep in mind now. Annie was on the 13.3 video, if you missed that yesterday. Nobody plays Annie, so nobody benefits from it. Beryl was willing to pick it. Annie is buffed on 13.3, which is what the LCK is on. Currently, 3 different patches are in use by major regions. LCK 13.3. LPL is still on 13.1a. LCS might, I don't know what LCS is going to be on tonight. They might go to 13.3. I don't know. They've been on 13.1b and LEC on 13.1b. How this relates to KT DRXO is, like I said, 13.3 had Annie being buffed. Beryl picked it. Game 2. KT of the Draven lane, Aiming and Lehens. Lehens picks Singed. He's 6-0 on Singed now. As you can see, they won the game, right? So, an interesting pick. We are used to seeing Lehens as Singed by this point. Another thing that BDD did, though, thinking about it, Game 1, he got an early kill on his Talia going bot lane, making something happen very early. It could have even been a level 1, to be honest with you. It was pre-4 minutes for sure. But another big deal, right? You know, BDD clearly took a big role in this one. And gapped Fate not only in making things happen around the rift, but also straight up in lane. So that was kind of the deal with KT DRX. Nongshim and HLE. HLE 24th at 4-4. Nongshim 1-7. HLE win a sloppy 2-0. Yes, I am recording and the mic is working. Viper 6-1-15, 38% of damage. Clid 6-2-10 was MVP. Fiesta 358, 35% of Nongshim's damage. I thought HLE, like I said, this was a sloppy 2-0. Nongshim probably should have won Game 1. Game 2 was not clean either out of Hanwha Life. Kingen had a solo kill on DN in Game 2. Kingen had some good Gnar ults as well. The thing is, though, HLE just looked so disjointed, they couldn't follow up on his plays, and that hurt them. There were moments where Zeke had some good Azir shuffles. Team really couldn't follow up on those either. So very, very messy out of HLE. You might wonder, why isn't Viper MVP with 21 KDA, 38% of the team's damage? Both of those numbers are very, very good. But Clid hit the smites he had to keep Nongshim from getting to Soul and things like that. And, I mean, that's a big difference, because Nongshim with Soul, maybe they win these games. Because game one, I mean, the HLE minions took the Nexus. Like, Nongshim were playing very, very well, in my opinion. So, and that's the thing, though. At the end of the first round robin, Nongshim and DRX are both 1-8, but both teams we expected very different things out of, right? DRX, we do not expect to be 1-8 with the players on the roster. Nongshim, you'd like to see more, and hopefully in the second round robin, they are better than 1-8, because that would show improvement in a very, very basic sense without even having to analyze games. But, you know, they are a bunch of rookies. So that's kind of the deal there. But HLE, it's no excuse for the way they're playing. It's just still very, very messy. LPL, Anyone's Legend, BLG. BLG 13th, 2-3. Anyone's Legend 0-6. BLG went 2-1. Elk was MVP. He would go 17, 6, and 19 with 34% of the team's damage across 3 games. That includes 1,000 damage per minute plus across 3 games. That's pretty damn crazy. We had a Lucian game, we had a Zeri game, but at the same time, 1,000 damage doesn't happen all the time. It doesn't always happen across 3 games. A game in which you lose, you're still dealing that much damage over the entire thing, you know. On alongside him, 4-6-33 had the best KDA. Betty, once again, being Anyone's Legend star, 8-7-18, 36% of damage. This is a case where BLG probably should have won 3-0. Which obviously is impossible. It should have been a 2-0, but I think you're getting my drift here. They threw game 2. Anyone's Legend takes Rift down mid. BLG get a little too hypey in mid. That gives a couple kills over. Then all of a sudden we have a couple other fights in the mid game where they give a couple kills over. Anyone's Legend finds a way. The Jace mid was a big pick in games 1 and game 2. Yagao played it very well in game 1, which is a surprise because Yagao doesn't scream Jace. I didn't look at his games of Legend, but he doesn't have a super big champion pool. Game 2, Pinzi showed up a little bit. And Betty obviously showed up across 3 games, somehow staying positive and dealing over 1/3 of the team's damage. Top lane, Bin, game 2 did get a little too over-aggressive, but this was a really nice play to get away. He dove ZDZ on Gnar, and then was able to evade not only ZDZ, but Zhao Hao, because he did not realize Zhao Hao was down there, well, up there in top lane to, you know, cover in case that happened. So, kind of, you know, going over this series here, it was a case where BLG threw a game. They did win in the end. Get past it, move on. They haven't played a ton yet, obviously. Only this is their 6th series. Anyone's Legend 7th. You know, we need to see some growth. You know, I kind of got overexcited last week in power rankings with BLG, moving them up to like 5th after they beat Weibo, and well, then they disappointed me. So that kind of is the deal there. JDG and EDG, the series of the day. JDG 2nd, EDG 10th, both 4-1. On my prediction video, I had a little bit of hesitance. I picked JDG 2-1, but I will say, and I said in my power rankings, EDG are playing the cleanest brand of League of Legends right now. Everybody else is playing very dirty. And dirty does not mean cheating. Dirty means messy. Dirty means disjointed. Dirty means chaotic. It is not clean. And EDG are playing very methodical and at a very, very high level. JJ was MVP, absolutely gapping Kanavi in both games. Kanavi being put on Vi. Vi sucks. I hate Vi as a champion. I don't think Vi is that good. Win rates, when we get into 13-1's patch recap, it's going to look very good in the Wukong. That does not mean I love Vi. Fofo, 7-0 and 18, 27% of damage. EDG's mid laner doesn't die into night. That's a big deal. Oh, and their AD carry went 5-0-15. Leave. The rookie. Against Ruler and missing. Doesn't die. A lot of that has to do with JJ. Knight, 264, 28% of damage for JDG. It's hard to even really talk about this series outside of just saying EDG were in control start to finish. JDG really didn't have much going for themselves. There was a time where JDG were able to fend off EDG when EDG were trying to, take the base. Ruler had a couple kills on Avaris, but at the same time, you're losing your base, right? So, this is going to affect the power rankings that happened yesterday, obviously, because now JDG have lost another one. Technically, they're on a losing streak now, and it's against two good teams. Don't get me wrong; they're not losing to, terrible squads. They're losing to good teams. So that is something to monitor. We did expect, and I mean, I won't say we, because not everybody felt this way, but I said before the season started, I felt like JDG was a team that would eventually hit a wall, or might start with hitting a wall, and have to figure out how they want to play the game. And right now, they've lost a couple series. So that's kind of the deal there as EDG win 2-0. Sneak peek for tomorrow, RNG 15th in the power rankings, 2-4 against FPX 1-4. RNG beat Team Wii last week. FPX lost to IG. Week 2, Day 5 of Summer, RNG went 2-1. 6 of the 10 starters overlap. It was 7. Jala, who was benched for Fearness today. Gala, 16-4-6 at 80 carry. LWX, 4-4-16 for FPX across from him. The bot lane matchup's the one highlighted. I think that's because people like to see the world burn. Gala Ming is definitely better than LWX and Lele. I don't believe that matchup will be close at all. Then again, FPX, it's not like they have many matchups that make you think, oh, wow, they have a chance. So that's the deal there. Team Wii, 3-3 against LNG, who are 11th in the power rankings at 4-1. Team Wii lost to RNG, and LNG coming off their first loss of the year to Ninjas in Pajamas. Week 8, Day 7, LNG would win 2-0. Only 2 players overlap from that series, Tarzan and Shanks. Tarzan went 8-5-10 in the win. Speaking of Shanks, Shanks plays against Scout. Shanks has been one of the better players so far this split. Consistency-wise, he seems to game in and game out be very impactful for Team Wii, leading in losses and then leading in wins as well. Definitely taking the next step in a very young career. And Scout has probably played better than anybody else in mid lane right now in the world. He is playing exceptional League of Legends at a very high level. So that matchup will definitely be fun. Bro and D+, Bro 3-5, D+ 6 in the power rankings at 5-3. Both last played HLE last week. Bro lost to them, D+ 1. Week 5, Day 5, D+ would win 2-0. 8 of the 10 starters overlap from that series. Canyon 4-1-13 in the jungle, gapped Umpty, who went 1-4-4. Top lane matchups, the one highlighted, Morgan and Kana. Morgan and Kana, that's the matchup where I identify that there is an opportunity for Bro maybe to get an edge. Kana is not overly great, and usually he has to play a weak side champion because Deft and Kellen are getting a lot of love from Canyon so far this year. So maybe that's an area where Bro can find an advantage. Maybe they get Morgan on Kesante or something. I don't know. Just anything. They're on 13-3 now. Kesante is just nerfed, but I think you get my point here. KDF and Gen G. KDF 2-6. Gen G 6-2. Gen G 3rd in the power rankings. They just lost to KT. KDF beat Nongshim. Week 8, Day 1, Gen G would win 2-0 last summer. 3 of the 10 starters overlap, all on Gen G. Doran went 3-0-17 and Deathless in those 2 games. Matchup highlighted as mid. Bulldog and Chovy. Chovy, in my opinion, best mid laner in the world. That gap has started to close. I know I said Scout's the best performing mid laner now. There is a difference. A lot of people don't identify that difference. There's a difference in how those 2 things are worded. I think the gap's closing for Chovy. Chovy needs to step it up. This split, he has struggled, not played at the level that I expect him to. And Bulldog has exceeded expectations as a 17-year-old rookie in a team that is not a great, it's not winning games. So, confidence-wise, he has to persevere and continue to show up every day and try and do his best. when literally he's like still a kid and he's doing a lot of work. And not only that, Gen G also have a kid and pays. So the two rookies facing off against each other, not in the same lane, but that is something to watch. So I just gotta check what time it is. Okay, I did not expect this video to have to be re-recorded, so I got stuff I gotta kind of do. LCS, Team Liquid and EG. EG 4-2, Team Liquid 3-3. EG 1. EG 22nd in the power rankings. They last played in the playoffs. EG would go 3-2 and win. 4 of the 10 starters from that playoff series overlap. Vulcan at support went 5-9-38. Core JJ 3-9-33. Summit and Someday is the matchup highlighted. If you recall, Someday was one of the players that really put a stop to Summit's reign when he was really dominating Spring. Understandably, he ends up winning MVP anyways, but in the playoffs and also during that, towards the end of the regular split, Someday and others were able to find ways to counter Summit. His Jace especially, we saw the male fight in Ornn and things like that, and it just eliminated a lot of Summit's impact on the game. And Summit has left a lot to be desired so far this year. Flip a coin and you'll figure out how TL looks tomorrow night. Immortals in C9, C9 4-2, 17th. Immortals 2-4. Week 8, day 1 of summer, C9 would win. 6 of the 10 starters overlap. Blabber 3-0-12, Kenvi 1-3-1. That's the matchup highlighted. The 2 wins Immortals have had a lot to do with Kenvi being on carries, Kindred and Graves. And then the bot lane of Tactical Fleshing made something happen. And I was listening to the dive. No offense to the dive. I normally just don't listen to it. And listening to Sven, because he's a player, I do enjoy listening to players think about the game. He said he thinks Immortals, he had some nice things to say about Immortals, and he thinks Tactical is can be good, but sometimes he just ints. It sounded like was kind of the vibe I got. And, it makes sense. It does make sense. You do know moments where Tactical kind of ints his face off, and then there are games where he just outright carries. So we'll see what happens. But Kenvi and Blabber, if Kenvi ends up on a carry, there's a chance maybe he can compete with Blabber. But Blabber's been pretty consistent so far this year, making, an impact on the game regardless of what he's playing. TSM 3-3 going into FlyQuest, who's 8th in the power rankings at 6-0. The last time they played was TSM winning in the playoffs 3-2 against Fly. None of those Fly players are back. TSM, 3 of the 10 players return. Maple went 19-9-26 in that one. And Maple and Vikla is the matchup highlighted. This is a very different mid laner than Takui. We'll see how Maple can do into Vikla. Maple has definitely been a mixed bag so far, as has TSM overall. Statistically, they're not grading out great. They're winning games, but games that they probably should not win. Games are coming from behind in. And we'll see how they play against FlyQuest. I'm expecting like a solo Ornn angle tomorrow. Maple on Azir. Things like this, or Victor, and just really just sit back and scale and pray that FlyQuest doesn't beat them in under 30 minutes. Because otherwise, I think that Fly is going to beat them hand to hand. CLG and 100 Thieves. CLG 2-4, 100 Thieves 4-2, and 18th in the power rankings. Week 8, day 2 of summer, 100 Thieves would win. 6 of the 10 starters overlap. Closer went 4-2-6 in the win. Contracts went 3-0-4 in the loss. 3-3-4 in the loss. Dokla and Tenacity is a matchup highlighted. Obviously, a young top laner in Tenacity continues to draw a lot of praise and eyes, right? A lot of people want to watch him play, see if he can continue to progress and get better. He was in a good situation last week where Fly was against EG, but Fly was against 100 Thieves. And, Tenacity for 100 Thieves did very well. He solo killed Impact, got ahead, but could not take that to the mid to late game. We'll see how he does against CLG and Dokla. And then lastly, everybody's game of the day tomorrow, Dignitas and Golden Guardians. GG 2-4, Dig 0-6. Week 8, day 3, Golden Guardians would win. Half the starters overlap. Stixxay went 8-3-4 in the win. Spawn 6-1-2 in the loss. Jensen and Gory is the matchup highlighted. We'll see how Jensen does. Jensen has been dealing damage, but at the same time, Dignitas look like an absolute disaster. XL, but worse, frankly. Obviously, Spawn is worse than Patrick, but you should probably just kind of draw the conclusion that I'm drawing from this, that we have a team that spent a lot of money on players that are veterans, and kind of, it's just not working. It's not working. Dig are a mess. Gory continues to progress and get used to his new team. In Golden Guardians, River has been doing a lot of work as well. So this matchup, I'm not expecting to be very, very great. So that's it for the roundup. If you like the video, like it, subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Like I said, I uploaded 3 videos yesterday, a roundup, power rankings, and a 13-3 patch video where I went over the teams most buffed and nerfed by the patch. Join me on Discord if you want to, hang out. There's quite a few members in there. And follow me on Twitter. I post links there for my content if you don't want to hit the notification bell. And yeah, so thanks for watching.